Hi guys, thank you for joining. Okay, we'll find the devil or whatever it is that is obstructing this life from starting. um, Good evening, good evening. I'm waiting for Ololade Akintoye to come up so that we can add our and we get this conversation started. Today is the final day of our authors chat series, Women's Month special. We started since Friday. We've had a couple of authors before then. We've had Juliet Ehimuan, author of 30 Days of Excellence. Aside from being an author of the said book, she's also the director at Google West Africa. We had an exciting conversation with her on Friday evening. So please, if you missed that, please check our timeline and catch up on that video. Yesterday was so much fun. It was with Toyosi Etim-Effiong, author of this particular book titled Now You Know Me Better. It's a memoir that I recommend that everybody should read. We had so many conversations around women, around grief, around love, around running a career in media and every other thing in between, and it was such a good one. Today we're going to be having Ololade Akintoye. She's right here, and I will be asking her to join us right away so we can get this started already. I hope everybody's having a great Sunday though. I will be. Yay, finally.
Fine.
It happened.
Finally.
I know technology tends to play a very big one on us sometimes, so
You're right.
it's all good. So good to have you
Hello.
here. Happy Sunday.
Thanks for
Happy
having
Palm
me.
Sunday. You're
Happy
welcome.
Palm Sunday. And
Yeah.
you look beautiful. I love the prints.
Yay. Thank you. You look really great yourself too. I hope you're
Thank
having a great
you.
Sunday actually. Love the hair
I am.
accessory. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, made, by the way. Mhm.
Oh, lovely. We've kept so many people waiting and anxious all this while. So I
I'm
guess
so
we just,
sorry. Hello, everybody. So sorry for the delay, technical glitch.
yeah, it happens.
I mean, like I was here, and then I heard Toby say, "We're waiting for the author," and I'm like, "I'm here. I'm here."
It happens.
Yeah.
So I was trying to add you, right? And I kept seeing this error message saying that it kept on saying that Oni has to upgrade in order to be able to join this live. And in my mind, I'm like, which one is upgrade again? Instagram, be
Don't
calming down.
understand.
You know? But it happens. So
Oh,
I'm just so glad that we're getting this started. Not to worry, all things
okay.
work together for good. We're here to talk about your book, Brimstones and Rainbows. And I was initially telling those who had joined that the book is such an interesting one, and the themes in the book are sort of really pertinent and central to our lives in general. I love like the fact
Yeah.
that he addresses issues around child bride, around genital mutilation, and so many of those critical and sensitive things that we tend to like shy away from. But whether we like it or not, it happens within
Yeah.
our society. I also mentioned that it centers around obstetrics and
Fistula.
obstetric fistula. I mean, that's kind of like a mouthful, and but those are serious issues. And I first want to know what were the feelings that writing that particular book evoked in you. When I say evoke, I mean that those are serious critical issues. They are things that on the average, when you read them, they just make you sad. It just makes you feel like, wow, what kind of world are we in? Why do all of these practices exist? Especially because of the things that happen to the major character in the book. So I really want to know, while writing it, aside from, I mean, if the reader is feeling many of these things, you're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, and you're asking big questions around the world, around what's happening in the world, how much more the person will actually pen down this particularly important book. So, what feelings did it evoke in you while writing it?
Like you've rightly said, it's not particularly a happy story. Yes, he
Mm,
ended well, but not even for everybody that has to go through this situation in real life. So it's a sad narrative, and there were times that I had to take a break from the story itself when I
mm,
was writing,
mm,
and then to me it was more than just a story.
mm.
This is um this is a story I'd always known that I was going to work on like years back before I eventually started working on it, and which was just 2018.
Yeah.
Um and so yeah, so let me share what led to that to even start with. So there's someone really close to me, that went through or suffered from female genital mutilation,
Mm,
FGM. I studied mass communication. And so sometimes, when we have conversations around the topic, and I know how it has affected her, in ways that you can't even begin to imagine. And then it's
mm,
really easy to hear things like that, child marriage, female genital mutilation, in theory, but except it happens to you or it
mm.
happens to someone really close to you, you really never quite get the depth of it, if you
Mm.
understand what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
I
for
do.
instance, from Brimstones and Rainbows, I've had a lot of people say to me like, wow, like we know that child marriage is bad,
Mm-hmm.
getting young girls married, but to imagine the kind of life that they have to live on a daily, like
Mm,
this book was, it shed a lot of light on that. I've gotten feedback like that. So imagine knowing someone for real that had to go through a situation like that. So when I was to write my first dissertation,
oh.
I just I decided that I was going to write on the role of the mass media in the curtailment of female genital mutilation. And
Wow.
that's really exposed me to a whole lot of other things because I just felt like, okay, this story touches me so much, this person's experience, but how many people really know about it? Do you understand? What are we doing about
Mm,
it as a communicate as a mass communication student, blah blah blah? How are we even making a difference, through the media and all of that? So that story was like kind of like very personal to me. It didn't happen to me, but someone really close to me. So um in the course of the research and everything, I discovered a whole lot of other things, like a lot.
mm,
I In Africa, you'll be surprised. Africa is even too big. In Nigeria, you
wow.
will be surprised the kind of customs that we have and things that people have to. We go to school, so we're sheltered. It seems like these things are far away from us, but really, just walk down your neighborhood. Maybe not your neighborhood if you're, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
So so he exposed me to so many other things, and one of it was child marriage. I did a whole lot of research. If there's anything that I really did working on this one, I'm very big on research. Is I know how to do my research. So yeah, so I wanted to work on this story, and man, at some point I felt like it was even traumatizing for me, this
Mm,
particular child marriage story, Brimstones and Rainbow, Memoirs of a Child Bride. There were times that I had to pause. I don't know if it happens with other people, but I'm one person that I know that you write a story and the
mm-hmm.
story makes you cry. You actually
Mm,
pause. So not only am I getting the feedback from people that, oh, this book was so emotional, this book made me tear up and all of
mm.
that. It happened to me to even writing the book. Yeah. So it's a very weighty topic. I agree with you.
Yeah, totally. And I'm deeply fascinated by the fact that you mentioned was you wrote something about it during your undergrad. thesis. I can't even remember the topic I wrote on. Let me even confess. And I love the fact that you were quite intentional and you decided to go for, something as genuine as that. I I thought that, of course, I actually thought probably you had a background in the sciences because, I mean, female genital mutilation is something that has to do with reproductive health and, all of that. Which brings me to the question, do you think that, in spite of how serious this particular subject matter is currently, do you think that it's getting the amount of awareness and the attention it's supposed to get in our society currently? Do you think key stakeholders are paying attention to the impacts, are paying attention to the effect of issues around child brides, issues around child marriages, and all of that?
That's a very good question. Sincerely, I don't think that this subject is getting enough attention. Like, if it were, then we wouldn't be hearing about, some politician coming out and saying that, oh, they need to get child brides to start
Quite bizarre, if
voting
you
for
ask me.
franchise and stuff like that. No. So apparently there are a lot of people that still think that it's normal, that don't see anything even wrong with it. And I don't know if it is a question of ignorance or lack of vision, but I know that we still have a long way to go, especially as a country. If you were to be getting enough attention, then Nigeria will not be ranked I think we are number 11 globally. We have the highest rate, the 11th highest rate of child marriage.
Wow.
And almost about of that statistics, maybe 50% of them end up with obstetric fistula.
Wow.
Because we have girls 9 years old, 10 years old, and some of them, some people will say, oh, these girls were just becuted maybe when they were like maybe 5 or 6 or maybe 7 or even 9. Maybe they moved in with their husband. Like my protagonist here, she was 12 years old and she got married to a 40-year-old man, and this is still very prevalent in Nigeria. It's not something that is far away from us. I don't know if you're aware, but sometime late last year, the Fistula Foundation, in collaboration with Adioyo Hospital, carried out some free fistula repair, and about 80 women,
Wow.
80 women in Ibadan. So imagine what's going on in
The North.
the north. 80 women, about 80, I don't know if there were more, but last I checked, about 80 women had to, and I'm sure that we even have more than that. I read a story of one of those women. She's a teacher apparently, and she's had to live with obstetric fistula for a number of years. And she would go to school to teach. She teaches in a state school, in a diaper, in an adult diaper, but there are so many girls that they don't even have courage to go on with their lives. There are so many people that don't even come out to say this is what I'm going through, because they don't even understand it. So they live in that isolation and the stigmatization and everything that surrounds, the whole incontinence. Imagine just how many of people that even happens to can afford can afford diaper, so they have to use clothes and whatever. And if this thing is if the stats are so high, then you have to ask yourself that what policies are we making around this? Sometime late last year as well, Katsina, I think they just signed a bill for maybe child protection law. And then what this law does is that it protects young girls from child marriage. It provides adequate education and those kind of things. And I sincerely hope that it's not just a paper bill, but it's laudable. You have to even, applaud the fact that, that's okay, one state is doing this now. There's also, I don't know, everything under the umbrella of gender-based, what's it called now? Gender-based violence,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You have the child marriage, you have the rape issue, and so many people can't even speak up. And so I don't think we're paying it enough attention. Seriously, otherwise the stats won't be high. We'll have more girls in school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really sad that the world has moved on from here. If in 2021, this is what we're still talking about, child protection law in one state, we're celebrating it. Yay. Really, at this age and time, we have a long way to go.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And more bizarre is the fact that this is something we are actually commending. It should be a no-brainer. It should not
You
even
get
be, it shouldn't be worth
exactly.
celebrating. It should be like a no-brainer. Like it's not rocket science. It should be something that
It's
should be in place
ridiculous.
in an ideal society. And it's quite
Absolutely.
worrisome, really, because I honestly feel that these issues exist and there's just this silent culture of silence around it. A lot of people are very shush. A lot of people just assume that it doesn't exist, whereas it does. When you look closely, when you look at probably the megad that is somewhere on your street that is probably from the north and had to migrate to Lagos, and all of a sudden you just see some small tiny girl that is being, brought in, and they will call her a wife. I
And
remember
guess
very,
what? A lot of people are even enablers, and they are not
yeah,
even aware of it.
yeah, yeah,
That 9-year-old girl that you're bringing in to live with you, your baby, taking care of a baby, taking care of your
yeah,
babies.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Eventually, she gets pregnant for the mega. A lot of people are even enabling
Yeah.
this thing
But really, what
without
can
even being
one
aware of
do?
it.
Because, yeah, that I think that's like the more pertinent question to ask. But I also feel that beyond the policies, beyond what the government should do, I know what they are supposed to do is quite crucial and critical to this subject matter. I think it's very important for us to have more non-profits, more NGOs come forward to actually drive these causes, and we don't have enough of them around. A lot of
We
non-profits
don't.
seem to, focus on more fancy issues, maybe because it gets them more grants, maybe because they feel that those issues are a bit more serious, and the people at the forefront of those causes are not perhaps passionate about it, or they do not even know the gravity of the issues. So I think
I
it's a
think another issue is also for fear of crossing the powers that be, because
mm,
apparently
mm,
this system also benefits
some powerful
some
people.
people
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
people don't want to go there.
yeah. I see someone in the comments early on mentioned that these things are rooted in our culture, and it's not something that is just going to fizzle out instantly. To take a really long time. It's going to go a long way. I also feel that some monarchical system of what's the name governance that are in place in certain parts of the country also enables this culture. And here's what I mean: in the north, a a king can decide to gbẹ́sẹ̀lé fight
Especially,
over a
yes.
Yoruba.
And it's not just in the north, my dear. It's not just in the
It's
north.
ridiculous. And the parties involved would not have a say. They would not be able to do anything about it. So I'm so glad your book actually decided to be at the forefront of shining the spotlight on this very critical issue. I love the
Like,
fact that it brings to fore and helps us to understand that this havoc is still being wreaked around us, even in 2021, when the world has
so
moved on
prevalent.
and all of that. I was wondering why, even though the process of writing this book must have been really emotionally heavy for you, I was wondering if in the process you experienced some form of writer's block. Were there moments when you were stuck? And what would you advise anybody who is also trying to pen down their experiences or put together a book? And how would you encourage them or tell them to manage issues around writer's block? Do you even think it
Gracious.
exists? Do you think it's actually a myth? Because some people will tell you that, nah, it's
Well,
laziness.
some people have the school of thought that it doesn't, but some people say it does. And I would try and shed some light on both sides of the, So I've heard someone say that if you were employed as a writer, either a copywriter or an editor, whatever, and you have to turn in a paper, you are not going to tell your employer that I was not. Do you understand? You have to turn in, the pressure or not. You have to turn in the paper. But the thing is, with this kind of writing that is, like creative writing, I think it is a thing, because you just feel like if I'm going to be, you need to be in the right frame of mind. You need to, get your juices going and everything, really, to come up with something like that. So I think it's a thing. Yes. For me personally, I didn't experience a writer's block, and I think I'll just share or maybe why I think I did not.
Okay.
So for my writing process basically begins with, your big idea. What's the idea? To which I would say start from a passion, in your area of passion. Do you understand? What topics do you naturally lean towards? All of that. Yes, I am passionate about female causes. So I will, if I decide to maybe write a book about parenting tomorrow, I know it will be like fantastic. But tomorrow, if I say I write about farming, it will probably be awful. And this is not to say that you cannot write in the area you are not quite familiar with, but you know that you have to do extra work, because even with subjects that you're passionate about, it is still a lot of work. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of research went into the writing of Brimstones and Rainbows. It was a lot of research that went into it, because you don't want to goof now. A doctor will now pick it up and say, even it's fiction, it's a realistic fiction. So you want it to be real, to be authentic. You want to come out as, do you understand? So, but I would say that lean towards subjects that from the areas of your strength, if you understand what I mean. And so once that is done, you also have to have a purpose. Like, why am I writing this? That for me, that was one thing I did. Okay, so this is what I want to write about, but why? Why is it important? And why? Are you there? Okay, you're back.
Yeah, kind of lost you for a second. Yeah.
Oh, I lost you briefly. Okay, all right. So for me, I crafted out a why statement. Okay, this is why I'm doing this, which will actually guide you along the line when you're writing. But that's still also not enough. But you should know, why am I even trying to get this message out? Is this just entertainment? Is there a message behind this that I'm trying to get out, or whatever it is? Research is ongoing, so I cannot even say that enough. So after getting all of that, the next thing is for me is to craft my framework, my structural framework. Okay. And by that, what I mean is I come up with a story outline. My story outline, your story outline is like a map. It guides you through the journey of the writer. So I have like so it's one-liners for me. So I'm like I didn't necessarily do chapter 1, this is what will happen, chapter 2, but what I did was, Ruby was, she had a happy childhood, blah blah blah, of course. And that's after coming up with your plot setting, the language, all those ones are, I think it's a given already. What POV are you writing for your plot setting, the language, what time did this happen, and all of that. So all of that out of the way, I came up with a story outline. Then this happened, then this happened. So I think before I started writing, I knew how it was going to start and how it would end. And for people that write like that, they call them the planners or the outliners. But there are some people that doesn't
go that way.
That's it, because it's not, because you're still going to flesh it out anyways. It's just the framework, like I said. So and it guides you through. So I think even at every point in time, I knew what I was going to work on next, what I was going to write about. So if I wasn't working on something, maybe I was doing more research or whatever. But so I didn't come up against that writer's block. And I think it really helps. An outline helps. So that worked for me. So if you're writing and you feel like, oh, I'm stuck in the middle, blah, blah, blah. I think it's important to even get it right from the beginning.
Yeah, totally. I
From the
agree.
beginning, yes.
This almost was studying to a master class on writing. So I guess that's an extra or bonus for those people joining us. Thank you for sharing
Okay.
those secrets with us. I was also
Yeah.
wondering which of the characters resonates most with you. So I know Inyo became Ruby at some point. Please don't tell me it was Ruby. Which of the characters resonates the most with you? And how easy was it for you building that character?
It was Ruby. The story's about
Hmm.
Ruby.
Okay.
It was
I was
Ruby.
thinking you were going to mention somebody else name. I don't know. Yeah. So
Like,
how easy was
like
it for you to write about Ruby? Like, especially bearing in mind that there were so many flashbacks in the book. There were times when you had to imagine or use the voice of a 12-year-old, and at some point we saw Ruby, Inyo becoming Ruby and growing up to become a woman. And so I was just wondering how easy it was for you to transition from the different voices, the way a 12-year-old would talk, the way a 12-year-old would, vocalize his or her thoughts, and the way an adult will. How easy was that for you, basically?
so writing about Ruby or Inyola wasn't easy to do because
Mm,
our story is heavy. So let's go back there again. It's a very heavy story. So it wasn't really easy to because a lot of times I had to live through I had to put myself in her thoughts.
mm,
Do you get? I had
yeah,
to my emotions were heavily vested into our story. I had to live through what she did, if you understand what I mean. And
yeah,
then you notice that the story spans across about 2.5 decades thereabouts. So to write about Ruby as a 12-year-old and Ruby as a 30-something-year-old lady. But again, do your research, be what you need to be for your character. It was and then the flashback. Okay, I was trying to remember the other thing you said. The flashback um was something I wanted us to I wanted that to provide context, really, to give us a background from where not just jump into the story, this sad story. I wanted to give the story texture, if you understand what I
yeah,
mean.
I do.
I just didn't want it to be flat and all sad and all, because again,
Gloomy and all, yeah.
that it can really wear down a person. So I had to take us into our childhood and then come back. So this is the present situation that I'm actually writing about. I'm drawing light on, but who
Yeah.
was Ruby before that? So we can understand our thinking process or our thought process. I remember that I mentioned that I think there was somewhere that mentioned that she had her father had a library for, even though her parents were not really educated, they supported her dream to go to school. And she wasn't supposed to even get to school at the age she did because she couldn't reach her hair. Remember that? Comes from touching your
Yeah.
right hair.
That happens.
And everything. So and then she was just a child that, even though she grew up in the village, she loved reading and everything. So I remember that one of the comments I got, someone said that, oh, a 12-year-old, now going to the city, how is it that, she was able to, but I already provided a background for that. She loved to read. She wasn't that, yeah, she was educated. So whether she grew up in the village
Mm,
or wherever, do you understand what I mean? It was, that was just
mm-hmm.
a character. So I think that was that for me. That was the essence of. Sorry for the. That
No
was the
problem.
essence of. Yeah, that was the essence of using the flashback. To provide context, background on this a better insight on who this character is.
Yeah. Nice
Yeah.
one. Let's talk about adoption. I know it's a topic in this clan that a lot of people try to shy away from. And I know in your book you largely explored that particular theme. Do you think a lot of people are well educated about this particular course of parenting? Do you think a lot of people are open to the idea of adoption? Because I mean, in the book, Ruby's husband, Jaye, was firmly opposed to it at the initial state when the wife suggested it to him. Of course, guys, if you don't understand what we are talking about, then you probably need to get a copy of the book to get a bit of more context. Sorry, I have my on Amazon Kindle and not the hard copy. So you should actually get a copy from Rovingheights in order to get a better idea here of what we're talking about. Yes, so that's the book. And so what's your take on adoption as a topic? And do you think um, Africans or even Nigerians are embracing it as a form of parenting enough? Yeah.
At the moment, I think more people are open to the idea
Hmm. You
of
think?
adoption right
Please
now.
tell me.
More,
Bring the stats.
not
Let's
enough,
hear.
not enough, no, not enough people. But I think a lot of people are being more receptive, of the idea right now that adoption. Funny thing is, adoption is not something that is strange to us in Africa. You know, yes, because from the time of our, great
Father.
grandmothers,
Yeah.
grandfathers, men have been bringing children into their homes, to raise children that are not
Yeah.
even theirs.
That's
The
true anyway,
problem
because I
is,
remember very
yes,
well
the, pro-
that
most of our grandparents had large families, their cousins, everybody, large families, not even only cousins, just
yeah,
one
maybe when the
child
breadwinner.
from the village, one child from the village that came to live with you, and before you know, this person is your brother. Africans have that kind of, oh, if you are my community member, you're my family. Do you understand? The problem, however, is
Yeah.
once you mention the word adoption, it becomes a problem for men mostly. I think more women are even receptive to the idea. Another thing is another reason why it's could be a touchy subject is for um, people that are waiting, for the fruit of the womb, people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
families that don't have children of theirs yet. For
Mm.
families, it's an idea that is easier to embrace when you already have like 4 or 5 children and somebody brings one child for you to raise. The child calls you father, calls you mother. So, but for the African man
Mm.
that is still struggling in that, or not struggling, that you have that particular challenge. Do you
Yeah.
understand? I
Yeah.
think a lot of people see it as, oh, does this mean that for Christians, it might even mean that, oh, maybe this means that I'm not exercising my faith, or I don't believe that God can
Mm.
maybe answer my prayers and do this for me.
Mm.
For other people, it could be a question of like ego, like what would people think?
See
Oh, that
what
means,
people
oh, people
think.
will now see me as, oh, I have this condition, so I can't have children of my own, blah, blah,
Mm.
blah. But I would say that, I mean, maybe in the past few years, maybe through 2, 3 years, if you actually check, you will find out that more people are being receptive to the idea, especially among the educated ones,
Yeah.
And like I said, I think I mentioned one of my posts a while ago that we're all adopted, we're all adopted into the family of God. now we can say that we are sons of God, we are children of God. Maybe not everybody gets that concept, but at the end of the day, what gives us the right to say that we are children of God? We're all in this adoption business. Do you understand? I just think that we just need to raise more awareness, talk about it more. Jaye was not open to the idea initially, like, no way. Like, how am I even, for other people, it's not even what people think is that, will I be able to love a child that is not my biological child and all of that, you know? But I think the more we have conversations around, and those conversations should go on, the more we have those conversations and people see case studies, we'll be getting out of, I mean, to a better place in that regards of adoption.
I totally
It's
agree
a
with
big
you. I know it's a very touchy but issue, but
thing
it's
for
actually a very beautiful thing, like you rightly said. I also think that a lot of people are not even aware of what the processes are in order to, foster adoption. So I have this vague idea. I don't know where I got that information from, that the process of even adopting can be very cumbersome. You want to go about adoption formally in Nigeria, like so many things, and even in
I
developed
can tell
countries,
you
anyways, like the
firsthand that in Lagos,
paperwork and
it is.
everything. So now
It
bringing it
is.
back to Nigeria, it's a very, very difficult process that a lot of people are not
It
even sure
is.
of certain they want to, embark on. And so
I know
I guess,
someone that's been on the process for or the journey for about maybe 6 years now.
wow, 6 years.
Yeah. hmm
The child is already
Six
grown
years.
up.
6 years.
Abi?
6 years. She's been in the
Yeah,
process for like 6 years. Yeah.
yeah, that's some serious worsening issue. And these are areas that I think our legislators should actually be focusing on and be creating, policies that would, enable the process to be hassle free and, about a bit more easier for everybody to embark on. Like you said, adoption is fancy when you probably have your own kids and you're trying to do
Yeah.
it afterwards. But when it's the first thing, and there's a saying in Yoruba that Ori Omolon Pomowaye and all of that. So I strongly believe that sometimes a lot of people tend to experience their breakthrough after going through that particular process. Interesting. To find out what eventually happened, whether Jaye eventually succumbed to the idea, please get a copy of Brimstones and Rainbows. Um, I want us to talk about the process of writing the flashbacks, because I know that that's a very key element, was an important tool that you used in your book in telling the story that you wanted to disseminate. So I know it's a very, it can be a very complex narrative structure. It's either a hit or a miss. From your own point of view, how easy was it for you to use that particular what's the name, narrative structure? I mean, flashbacks, going from what happened at some points to provide a bit of more context to the present. How easy was that for you?
Okay. So I didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem using that element at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Mm.
And I think it was one thing that my editor particularly enjoyed, when she
Yeah.
walked on. She kept on talking about, oh, I really love the way
Transition here.
the transitioning, and the way the flashbacks just come in, and then do you know what they call, like, it was like a comic relief sometimes, and maybe because I just had the story in my mind and I had the outline um clearly defined. I knew who the character was, where she was coming from, and then I was just throwing it in. And if I'm to say something about the whole process of even copying a book together, sometimes you just do your own writing. By the time you're done and the editing starts, especially for people that work with publishers. And sometimes they will say, oh, let's move this chapter. Things move around.
I know.
You can say, oh, let's move this here, let's move that there. So, so we decided at that stage when the story was done that, this is how we wanted to even arrange the sequence. Because even when I wrote it in a different sequence, actually. So we started to move things around. And so let's put this here, let's take them on your right. So for me, it was just to add texture. I enjoyed doing it. I loved the fact that, I could flash back and talk about our childhood crush and our happy life with our parents, when our parents were still there. And even in the part 2 of the book, I love the fact that, we could always go back to, one happy, for me, it was a way of injecting happiness, the happy juice into the whole sad story.
Yeah. And it actually worked, trust me. I think it was a fantastic thing to do. Um,
Thank you.
I'm curious to know though if Brimstones and Rainbow is to have like an alternative ending, what would it be? Would you have imagined a different way for it to have ended apart from the way the story came to a close? Or you just feel that the way the story ended is just like perfect in your own opinion and you think you nailed it, basically? I know it's a pretty very awkward question to ask, but I'm just curious.
In my opinion, I think he ended perfectly.
Yeah.
Because again, back to the fact that it was a very heavy story. I just wanted it to have some sort of happy ending,
I totally
that
agree.
and I'm happy that I decided to go that way because the feedback has been amazing. Like, thank God, that your book is, I read this, the book made me cry. Those are some of the feedback I get. It made me this, but I'm glad that it ended well for her eventually. So I'm glad that we went that way.
That particular way. Tell us the reason you decided to title the book Brimstones and Rainbows. It sounds really fancy and sweet. Like I love the title. It's very deep. At the first time when it hits you, you're like, interesting. Brimstones, the rainbows. What a combination. What's the idea behind that particular title?
So I'm going to say it here. I don't know if I'm going to say it elsewhere, but I know I've not mentioned it anywhere, like publicly before. The book was to be titled something else entirely, and it was supposed to be a Yoruba title actually.
Wow.
And yes, and I tried to see if it was going to work, and I'm like, oh, well, it's showing her already book titles, Arcade, there's Badon. There are people that title their books in their native, like Ogadima, just examples. And then there are English books and all of that. So the title was supposed to be Oshimari. Oshimari.
Really? That's interesting.
Oshimari means rainbow, and up to the point that of maybe editing and all proofreading, and I think it was then that we decided to go with a different title. That what, maybe a first time author, just Kukuma don't do Shumari, and then but for me it was Shumari all the way because I wanted to, because of the background she had in the village, before she later on came to Eko. I wanted it to have that feel. Do you understand? I didn't want her to lose where she was coming from. And there was a part in the story where she and her mother, when she saw a rainbow and called her mom, and then her mom explained the whole concept of a rainbow and Oshimari and stuff to her, one of the happy parts of the book, So anyways, we decided to go with Brimstones and Rainbow. Brimstones because, in the Bible, when you talk of brimstones and fire or something like that, there is something difficult or something hard and all of that. But I wanted it to have a little bit of rainbow, a little bit of sunshine, and so I went with Brimstones and Rainbows to give it that balance. And you will see that we also try to incorporate that into the ombre background.
Yes,
you see that it's sort of like a rainbow as well. And for rainbow is not particularly all happy and all of that. Rainbow has indigo, it's different colors, which also shows like the different seasons of a person's life and everything. I really wanted the title to call out to you. I wanted to reflect the story. She went through brimstones, fire. She went through hell, and then a journey, which is symbolized by the rainbow to a happy ending.
Yeah, beautiful. Very deep stuff, if you ask me. Like, I
Thank
love
you.
it so much, and I think that the book cover itself actually does did justice to the meaning of the title. Basically, I love the eyes of the girl in front. There's a way it just tears deep into your soul, and you're like, oof, I need to grab
It
this
calls
book and
to
read it. Yeah, it just calls through you, the innocence and everything about it is just perfect. Um, we're wrapping up, and I'm curious, should we expect any new work from you anytime soon? Is there a
oh
new book
yes,
in the works? Please tell us about
oh
it.
yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna give us a little bit of, so I have something.
Yes, we get the exclusive here. Network. Sure. Hi, Lolade, can you hear me?
Hello, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I lost you for a second here.
Okay, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
You were talking about your
Oh
work.
yes, what I'm working on. Yes, I actually put that in the blog for the previous book, that I'm
Oh,
working
nice,
on a compilation of poetry,
nice.
and I can't wait to share with everybody, to share with the world. It's like a love letter to women. It's an ode to women, and I hope you
Oh,
find the same place in your heart that Brimstones and Rainbow does. For people that have been on my platform for maybe as long as 2 years, you know that we started with poetry.
yeah,
So I put
yeah,
this beautiful collection together, and just in just a little bit, I'll be able to unveil it.
yeah, lovely. I can't wait, actually. It sounds like something everybody should look forward to. And the fact that it actually celebrates womanhood is something that
Yes.
gladdens my heart. I am totally looking forward to, that one.
Thank you.
Um, In the spirit of the International Women's Day, I know that the theme for this year is choose to challenge. So, what are you choosing to challenge? What are you urging or encouraging everybody listening or would later listen to this video to chat? What would you want them to choose to challenge in our society? Yeah.
Well, interesting. I would like to say that I would like to encourage us to choose to challenge gender biases. Let's be humans first. Let's Oh, because every time you talk about gender equality, for instance, now, every time you talk about gender equality, um, if you're a woman talking about that, the most likely reaction you get is that it's like it's a fight, an attack on men or something. Maybe it's the way people practice feminism here and all of that. Maybe we need to be more educated and all of that. But I want to say, you know what? Can we put the labels aside and just be humans first? Do you understand? So when we raise the topic of gender equality, when we talk about, oh, can we have equal rights, equal opportunities, equal responsibilities as well? We're not saying women should not be, then it becomes easier for you as a human to another human. It's not, oh, men against women, women against men. I really wish that our society could overcome that gender bias, and work towards gender equality on the
Quality.
basis that we're all humans, fighting for basic human rights for all people. So the fact that I choose to speak for women does not mean that I'm against men. How can I be? Do you understand? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my message. Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, I love the fact that you emphasize the need for us to first of all be human before anything else. And more than ever before, if there's anything that is coming to fore, it's the fact that we need more male champions in this course. We need more men that would, begin to stand for women causes, men that would, equally help us amplify some of the plights of women and,
Exactly.
would shine the spotlight on some of the issues that affect women basically,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
as women on our own we can achieve some of these things. Yeah, so I'm so glad that you emphasized that. Yeah, the very random and simple part of this particular conversation, which I've been looking forward to anyways. Please, what are you reading
Okay.
currently? Tell us, what book are you reading currently? What book is actually giving you a lot of ginger, a lot of vibe, and you would really want to share with the world, basically. Apart from your book,
Okay.
definitely. Of course, everybody should read those
For the
already.
one giving me a lot of vibe is most likely, the fourth agreement.
Oh, really?
Yes,
What about it? What's so fascinating about it?
it just makes absolute sense. As in just think about it. The four agreements, it speaks to everything. It says being impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personal. Most of the
Mm,
reasons why we're angry, we are stressed, we are frustrated is because we tend to take things personal. Come on, it says don't take things personal. Be impeccable with your word.
yeah.
As in really at the end of the day, it says strive to be your best and everything. I can't even remember what the fourth one is now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing to mention. And which reminds me, I wanted to ask you how you handle feedback or criticism about your work, because I know it's something that a lot of authors actually struggle with. Because the truth of the matter is,
Yes.
when you put your work out there, it's like it's your baby, you're releasing it to the world, and the world can decide to tear it apart and even bring out things that you did not expect, you know. So when you get negative feedback from from readers, and how do you deal with them? How do you handle it, basically? Hey, network. Hi, Lolade. Are you there? Can you hear me? I think I lost her for another bit. Hello. I can't wait to hear your response to this particular question, because a lot of people could use your ouch. Wow. Fortunately, Lolade left, but it's been really, really great having this chat with her. I'm going to linger for a few seconds, a few minutes, to see if she actually joins back. If she does, then we just take her response to this and call it a day, and we'll wrap this up. Hey Lolade, where are you? I guess the network is just downright strange from my own hand. But you guys will definitely agree with me that it's been an exciting chat with her, right? Like, I learned so many things. I learned a thing or two, and I genuinely enjoy our take concerning quite a number of issues. So hope you guys also learned a thing or two from our conversation as well. I'm hoping she joins back, but if she doesn't, then we'll call it a day. Thank you. Thank you so much. C underscore AME. Thank you for your feedback. Means a lot. Um, Unfortunately, for some strange reasons, I can't find Lolade online anymore. But this has been really exciting, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this. It's like the final day of this particular series, and it's been such a beautiful one. The male series coming up very soon. Don't worry. When is men's month? Of course, I totally agree with you. We shouldn't be biased. I mean, we've talked about issues around gender balance, and so we should make this even, right? We should have a men's series come up pretty soon. Oh yeah, she's back. Yay! So we'll have that in the works, and we'll make sure that happens. We probably wouldn't even have to wait till men's month before we invite men, or we have a men's series. Trust me, we'll definitely put something together. I just saw Ololade now. What happened? Okay. Um, I hope she joins pretty soon. Hey, technology and the way network can just should we call it a day? Should we call it a day? Okay, guys. Still pretty much having a challenge. Oh, yeah, she's back.
I'm back again.
Yay!
So the internet has decided to be funny today.
I understand. It happens. So I was asking how you handle negative feedback, especially when it comes to your work, because it's something a lot of authors actually struggle with. So please tell us, how do you handle it?
So, before the work came out, I thought I had it covered because I I read about that and I conditioned my mind. I tried to prepare for it, but I remember sharing with Shea Amao, another author of Bolatito. I
Yeah.
remember sharing with her a review I saw on Okada Books once, and somebody said this the worst writing in the history of writing. You should never write again. It was
Really?
really awful. And then we were not published at the time. And I'm like, how do you handle things? It's crazy. And then if you're on Google on
No.
Goodreads as well, oh my god, some of those reviews can be lovely, but some can be really, really deflated. It's not
I agree.
really funny. Yeah, so I thought I had it covered and had my mind conditioned and blah blah blah. But when my feedback started coming in, some were really lovely, like, oh great work, oh it's such an instrumental book in this and that. But some were not, some were like, you know, I'm always use my mouth to say it. Not like this, I'm not going to repeat it. You get what I mean? And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
some of those times, I would just feel like really bad. But eventually, after speaking to a few people who are already like in the industry, and then or something, a senior colleague told me, he said, reviews are subjective,
Yeah,
okay? It's another
totally.
person's opinion. They're subjective. So just take it like the fourth agreement says, don't take everything too personal. Somebody's laughing. See him. Some people will some people will give you good reviews. Some people, and another thing is, not everybody is your audience.
Mm,
That's
true.
another thing. Your book will not be. You might read some books and then some other people will read and be like, oh wow, yeah, they really love this. So just accept it and take it for what it is. The good ones, that you can work on to make yourself better. Maybe for your next edition, maybe for your
More
next
work.
book or whatever it is. Take the good ones. Okay,
Yeah.
there will be sometimes out of those bad reviews there will be something maybe positive, but some are outrightly saucy and just bad. Guess what? You don't have to take it as well. It doesn't have to get to you, and which is why you have to do your own work. Someone mentioned something on research, and I'm like, if it is that, I work in Marcoms. I'm very big on research. Okay, and I'm not saying that maybe there's always room for improvement for everybody, you get,
Yeah.
but if it is research, please give it to me. So when when you say if you don't even go there. So I know, because I'm so confident that what, I've put my heart and soul into this. I've done this really well. I've done my background work and homework. If you come at me from an area of strength like that, might not really bother me. I'm just like, well, at the end of the day, it's just your opinion,
Yeah.
subjective. That it is what it is. Just take it for that. So I'll just say take the good ones, and the ones that are not, that don't agree with you, that don't gel with you, just don't take it personal. Just it is what it is. And then guess what? Like people tell celebrities on, like when celebrities maybe yap people and then celebs, Nollywood celebs are, and they say
Yeah.
something to them, then you can't say, oh, you can't say that to me, and they'll say, your life is out there in the public. You can't take the good and not take the bad in quotes. You get, it's a part of life. Some of it will be constructive, some will not. You just have to accept it for what it is, and you know what, move on and always be your best self. Let your next work be better, be even better, and so far your conscience is good that you know what, I've put in my best. Really, what do you have to worry about?
Yeah, yeah. You said it all actually. I kind of like your very objective response to that. Like you said, you have to be willing to
Thank
take the
you.
good with the bad because it's part of it comes along with the package, you know. Yeah, it's been
Yeah,
really
it does.
exciting having this chat with you. I had so much fun. Thank you so much. Apart
Absolutely.
from the whole issues that happen with the tech and glitches and all, I
The
think
on
it's
and
been
all.
actually worthwhile. I learned so much too. It's really eye-opening to hear all of the insights that you share concerning all the vital issues that your book touched on, from child
I'm glad
marriage
to hear
to
that.
the
Thanks for
family
having me.
statistics around, yeah, it's really good to know. Thank you so much. Is there any final word, any final thing you would like to say to those people that are still looking around and listening to us right now, would later be watching this?
People that are working on,
Are there any final words you have to say before we call this a day to everybody here, or those that will be watching this afterwards?
just be your best self. Every day you wake up, decide that today is going to be better than yesterday. Be your best self. If you're writing, whatever it is, yeah, whatever it is that you do,
Yeah,
decide that you know what, today is going to be better than yesterday. Walk towards that rainbow. Sometimes life gives you a little bit of brimstones, you get, but
yeah,
there's always that rainbow, and then you should walk towards it.
yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Everything is going to be okay.
Yes, yes, yes. You can say that again. Thank you so much for that. I will be calling it a day. It's been exciting. I'm so glad this. I wish this could
Absolutely.
go on and on. I so while you were away, there was a comment that really cracked me up, and everybody else. Someone is asking if we're going to be
It
having a
was.
men's series pretty soon, and I'm like, you people, it's just
I said
one
it.
month.
Anytime there's something about women, then the man will should come. It's not a competition, but I mean, it will be really lovely to have the
Of
next
course,
series. Anyways, it will be lovely.
I mentioned that since we are working towards the gender balanced world, so it actually makes a lot of sense for us to also put together a men's series. So please watch out for what I was saying that we probably will wait till men's month. I don't know when that is, anyways. Sorry,
Is there
but
a men's
yeah,
month?
there
I don't
is.
know. I don't know.
I think there is, but we don't have to wait till then before we have a men's
Maybe
series.
sometime around Father's Day or something will
Yeah,
be
I
good.
think so. I think so. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Please
Thank you, everybody. Thanks
grab
for
a
joining
copy
in.
of
Thank you, Toby.
Brimstones
Thank
and
you, Robin
Rainbows.
Eyes,
You're
for having
welcome.
me.
You're most welcome. Enjoy the rest of your evening. No competition. We're just sharing knowledge and experience. Good stuff. Yes, you said it all. All right. Have a great evening,
Absolutely.
everybody. Ciao, ciao. Bye.